have a question for you, Kath, and actually for all our listeners.
Okay.
When was the last time you woke up completely stress free? There was no stress at all. Your body just was completely void of all stress. There was nothing on your mind, no stress happening at all.
Oh, a long time ago. I can't remember. I can't remember. Goodness me.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
something that I'm noticing is that stress and look, not to say good, bad, or any of the in between at the moment, right? But
Yeah,
it's become the norm. We're in a
absolutely.
constant state of stress. And that got me thinking because, the last few weeks, I don't know, we've shared about, I think it was a few weeks ago, feeling like a headless chook and, all that sort of
Yes.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
Stress is something that we experience in the whole of our body.
Yeah.
It's our thoughts, and we spoke all about our thoughts last week, and all about
Yeah.
the ability we have to interpret the thoughts and
Yeah.
interpret the story that we're telling ourselves. Yet our body is in this, we're often in a state of stress. And here's the thing I've come to discover. It's it's not good or bad or anything in between. I think it is a message to our body. It's a message for us. And often I know I'm very guilty of completely ignoring it, trying to push through this. I'm stressed. I've got so much to do. I've just got to keep pushing through to get it done and da 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 da. What if stress is a message and we need to pay attention and maybe pause and do something about it?
Well, as you're sharing, and I'm just listening, and like I can almost feel the cogwheels going in my head. My first thought was, I think I don't want to speak for everybody, but
No.
certainly in my world, it's almost like stress has just become the norm.
Yeah.
It's the backdrop running in the background. It's how we do life. It's normal.
Mm.
Was the first thought. I'm like, when you ask that question, and I've been sort of thinking, I thought, oh, actually, I think the reason why I don't often listen and hear it and observe it in my body is just because it's there all the time.
Mm.
It's the norm.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, again, just speaking for myself, I gotten so used to it that we, it's almost like, I don't know. I mean, I can't even believe I want to say what I'm going to say, but it's like this badge of honor that, when I can do this.
Mm.
I would
Mm.
like, watch me, look at me cope and thrive and do
Superwoman over
whatever,
there.
like through all the
Mm.
stress. Yeah, yeah. And yet what, why have this conversation? Why is it important to notice it?
Mm.
Yes, I mean, I realize that I am no, I've discovered that I'm learning to notice it more and more. I mean, the
Mm.
other morning I was out walking and I realized I was like, Kath, your whole body is just so, I could feel like a tightly wound spring ready to just,
Mm.
I don't know, like twing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I just thought, wow, I've got all this, stress. So why is this conversation worth having, Al? Why is it
Mm.
a you say,
Mm.
it's not good, not, we're not saying it's right or wrong or good or bad, but
Mm.
but what is this doing to us, this
Yeah.
constant living in stress?
Yeah. For me, and from what I have been learning and discovering, and also teaching and sharing with
Mm,
people in my world, that there is a response, a physiological response that we have to stress. And the thing is, and we touched on it last week, is that we have the ability to, with our thoughts, to change our thoughts. It's our thoughts aren't truth necessarily.
mm,
And so it's important because if we want to live out and take action and show up as our authentic self and speak life to people, if we're in a constant state of stress, our brain is functioning from a fight or flight mode, from a survival mode. It's not sitting in the mode of being able to reason well and use logic and be creative and be a problem solver. Sure, stress can cause us to be motivated to finish something and get stuff done,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah,
not necessarily in the best way. And so I guess it's a great conversation to have, because if we're noticing that there's a lot of stress, maybe we can do something about it. If it's not resourceful, if we're going, you know what, there's got to be a different way. I think that's an important conversation to have, because if it's not being resourceful, if it's not how we want to live, what can we do about it? Because stress is often our body saying, "Hey, what you're doing, the way you're doing it, maybe it could be tweaked. Maybe you could do it a little bit differently.
yeah, yeah,
Maybe you said yes to too many things, or it might be a sign that my expectations are." I could tweak my expectations for people, for situations, for within my workplace. It might be that, you know what, Al, you need have a look at your daily, your habits, your
yeah,
day-to-day habits. Maybe they could be tweaked, because by listening and responding, we're going to allow our body to be in a different state. Because here's a question: what would happen if we paid no attention to stress and we kept pushing through time and time and time and time again? What would eventually happen to us?
Well, one of the things I'm thinking about is, that I've also been reading about quite a lot lately in this sort of coaching space, is this whole concept of the fact that our emotions are also contagious. So, and the research has been done that our brains are wired they're an open loop system, and they are wired to pick up clues and cues from each other.
Mm,
So if I walk into the room and I'm, in the room with you and I'm all wound up and stressed, like that's
mm,
contagious.
mm,
I kind of pass my stress on to you, and you leave
mm,
thinking, what the, like I was actually
mhm,
feeling pretty okay, and I've left this conversation feeling like really
mm,
a lot more stress. So I think one of the things to take cognizance of is I don't think we often realize how much our state of being impacts the other people around us.
agreed.
And so if I know that, my goodness, I'm carrying all the stress because I choose to, but I'm actually passing it on to those around me,
Yeah.
I don't want to do that
Mm,
necessarily, not
mm,
in, well, certainly not in every situation.
mm,
So, and you are right. I think anybody that is in a stressed state, we are way more likely to be reactive. We're
mm.
way more likely to say things that we were going to regret later. Um, if we start the day stressed and then we're squeezed by something else, because other stresses come our way, then often we react in a way where we think, gosh, did I really just say
Yeah.
that? And that's not how I want to be, because that's, you know, not who I want to be.
Mm,
Then I think it is worth stopping and pausing and going, hang on a minute, what can I
mm,
tweak? What could I do? You
mm.
know? And I think what's interesting, I was listening to a teaching the other day about this social contagion, and it was by Prof. Boyatzis, and what he was saying is that we can think we might imagine or claim that we can mask our feelings, so I
Mm.
can kind of go, you know what, I'm just going to pretend to be calm. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's not how the research on this brain contagion, yeah, like our brains are cleverer than that. We think we're masking it, but
But we're not.
we're not.
I've got a real life example. A couple of weeks ago, I went to lunch with some girlfriends, and I showed up. I thought I was smashing life. Like, I felt the morning had been tough. My heart was heavy, some stuff was going on. But I
Yeah,
rocked up. I had my sunnies on. I had a pretty dress on, did my hair, did my makeup. And my girlfriend gave me a big hug and said, "What's wrong with you, Al?" I was like, "What? You've only just seen me. I've only just walked in the door. How on earth?" But especially with people we know and love, they are
yeah,
able to read us and read us quite well. And that's fascinating to me.
yes, yeah.
So I
And
guess then
yeah.
with stress, so what does this mean? So if stress is a response, a physiological, really a response to whether it's our thoughts, our expectations, the busyness of life, whatever's going on, if it's our body and it's we want to make changes, I think it's important to then go, okay, well, what do we do? What can we do? Is there anything we can do here?
Well, I think the first thing is to recognize that there's always something we can do.
Agreed.
There's always a choice.
Yeah.
And I think when we get so used to living in stress, it's
Mm.
so easy to feel like, but there isn't any other option.
Mm.
This is life, this is
Yeah.
it, this is how it is. I've just got to keep going like
Got to
I've
push through till
always
the
gone.
next holiday or till whatever happens, and we'll get to this point, and then it will magically all be okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think the first step is just to ask yourself, do you even believe that there's a choice, there's an option?
Mm.
And would you like to turn the dial down on your stress?
Mm.
If you're listening to this and you're thinking, actually, no, I'm happy living with my stress. I don't want to turn the dial down. It's helping me to get the things done that I need to get done, and I feel like I'm thriving in the stress. Well, maybe
Great.
the rest of this conversation's not for you. But if
Yeah.
you're going, I'm actually tired of the stress. I'm
Mm.
really tired of feeling this way. Even just acknowledging, what, there is something I can do
Agreed. Yeah.
is like a massive step in the right
Yeah.
direction.
Agreed. And then from that point, I would sort of say, okay, well, to start becoming really aware of it for a next, a period of time, going, noticing the moment it starts to really creep in and we feel it. And for different people, you'd experience that
Yeah.
feeling in a different way. So for me, it's, you already mentioned it, Kath, the knot in your stomach, sort of feeling like all tight.
Yes.
I notice it because my mind's all over the place. Sometimes I'll actually feel a bit sort of clammy and like my temperature's odd, or, that kind of feeling. It's to pause and go, okay, what's my body trying to tell me? What's
Yeah.
actually what, and take notice of the story we're telling ourselves, or what's physically going on around us. And so to really become aware of when that, when we're experiencing it, what's actually going on.
Yeah. Love that.
Because if we can do something about it, if we want to acknowledge we can do something, the next step is to notice what's going on so that is there something we can do?
Yeah. And then I think once we notice, I love what you shared last week about the fact that our thoughts are often not completely true. So when
Mm,
we've stopped to notice, is then to go, okay, so what is the story that I've bought into that's
mm,
causing this, stress?
yeah.
Because it's the story in our head often.
Mm,
Yes, there's circumstances. Yes, there are other people, and we live in a world of, we're not isolated, but often it's
no.
how we're interpreting what's going on around us. So I think it's then to just, okay, I'm noticing I'm stressed.
Mm,
Yes, what's going on, but
mm,
what is the story that I'm telling myself about what's going on?
yeah.
And is it true?
Yeah.
And yes, there will be elements that are true,
Yeah.
but what's a different story I can tell?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes easy to say this, easy to share, oh, these are the steps, like 5 steps to,
Tick.
de-stress.
Yeah.
But in the moment, it is tricky to do. And so I love, before we jumped into the recording today, you were just sharing
Mm.
some options around, journaling, for example.
Ah, yeah.
And I'd love you to share that with our listeners. And I will caveat this by saying I'm hopeless at
You love
journaling.
journaling? Yeah.
So if it's not your thing, that's okay too,
Mm,
But so what are some of the options that can help this process? Because it's
yeah.
really, really difficult on our own in your head,
Yeah.
because our default will just go back to the habit, and the habit is the stress. So you
Agreed.
might give it a flash thought of, oh, I'm doing stress here. I'm all wound up. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, what did Kathryn else say? Oh, yeah, I should be like, and then that just gets too hard, and we go, nah, I'm just going to carry on with stress, because that's the easiest thing to do.
Yeah. Agreed. But if nothing changes, nothing changes. And so,
Yeah.
one thing is really to look at our sort of our daily habits. And we often talk about how you can't just stop something and then without replacing it with something. And so this idea of a worry journal, I read about a few weeks ago. I shared it with a group of people last week and I was teaching around it, because here's the thing. And we shared last week that a lot of our worries, a lot of our stresses, we actually have a fearful outcome for them. So not
Yeah.
only is there a story we're telling ourselves, we've already imagined the outcome,
And it's doom and gloom.
and it's usually doom and gloom. And like we said last week, 91% of that time, that's not the outcome. And
Yeah.
so the idea of this worry journal is to, anytime a worry comes up, anytime we're feeling stress and we've got these thoughts, these worrying kind of thoughts, is to write it down, but not just write down what that is, write down the story we're telling that's going to play out. that fear part of how it's going to play out. Because here's the thing, our brain doesn't really recognize the difference between our imagined thoughts and reality. And so that's what
Yeah.
the stressful response is that we're experiencing in our body, because our brains already
Believe it to
automatically
be true. Yeah.
believing it to be true, put us, this is going to happen. So we're experiencing the truth unless we help our brain to realize, oh, actually, maybe it's not going to be true. So we want to create some evidence. So by speaking it out, by writing it down and getting the thoughts out of our head, firstly, I don't know how many times I've spoken out a thought or written out a thought and gone, oh my goodness, Al, are you seriously thinking that? That is as if that's going to happen. And, I can have a chuckle and move on straight away. End of story. But
Yeah.
often we need to write it down because we want to create some evidence. By creating evidence, oh, that was my stress. That was my worry. This is how I thought it was going to play out. In fact, that didn't happen because you've got to go back and check it. So you're writing it
Yes.
down as part of the journal and coming back and writing down what actually happened, writing down the outcome,
So you're collecting evidence.
collecting
Yeah.
data, because then that's the part that rewires the brain so that
Okay.
we're not living in this constant. There was the research. It was stipulating that when people did this, I don't remember the percentage. Anyway,
Yeah.
it was something, majority of people who went through this repeated process of writing down their worries, their outcomes, reflecting back and writing down what actually happened, didn't need to have anxiety medication, all of that sort of stuff. Over time, their brain was able to be rewired and
Rewired.
was able to respond rather than be hyper reactive in
Yeah.
situations. And it was just fascinating that our brain needs a bit of evidence. It needs some data to go, okay, we don't need to sit in this survival mode. I actually want to hop in a mode that's a bit more resourceful.
Yeah.
And so that's where the worry journal comes in. We're getting our worries out. We're putting it on paper. If you're someone who you don't really like to record it, speaking it out to a trusted friend and
Yeah.
speaking out what you're fearing is going to happen. Because in the moment of speaking it out, it's language is powerful. It's capturing that data
Yes.
and
Yeah.
information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I'm just thinking about that and thinking what could that look like for someone like myself who just, I've tried journaling. Goodness
Mm,
knows, I've got like, I don't know how many gazillion
yeah.
journals around the house that I've got 3 pages of journaling in, and then the rest are blank because it's just something that I honestly struggle with.
Yeah.
However, I do have a trusted, beautiful friend who I speak weekly with.
Mm,
And every week we've got a set conversation date and day that we
I
have a
love that.
conversation about. And um, that could also work because
Mm,
then you share your fears one week and
mm.
you um instead of writing them down, you're speaking them out, but then the following week you actually share
What happened?
what actually happened.
Mm,
And you are so right about if I reflect about those conversations, because our meeting together each week is an intentional conversation.
mm,
We're intentional about what we bring to the conversation. It's not just a good day, how you doing, and let's just catch up. It's an intentional conversation. So it could be journaling. If you're not
mm,
journaling, it can be conversation.
mm.
But I think at the end of the day, it's still all of this comes back down to um, the critical point here is, do I want to carry on living in
The
the
way I
stress?
am. Yeah.
Or do I not want to? And
Yeah.
if you're feeling like you want to tweak something, you want to shift something, you
Yes.
want to change something, it's helpful for our brains also to know, what, there is something I can do.
Mm,
I can try out journaling. I can try out
mm,
chatting with a friend.
mm,
Um, that's, I think, why coaching is always so effective. I think
mm.
for me in my own coaching journey, when I've been the client partnering with a coach, part of that is that commitment to meet in the session to share and
Yeah.
unpack and, go back and recognize what is the repeated story, what is the shift I can make,
Mm,
having kind of someone to cheer me on in making the change and the shift and that sort of accountability. And
agree.
it's like anything in life. It's like going to the gym. Do you need an accountability buddy to keep
Mm,
you going?
mm.
And even pairing this, like if you already do go to the gym and you already do meet someone each week as that accountability peace, you know, have these conversations then, say
Mm.
to this, like it, like buddy the two up so that you,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
make it work for yourself.
Yeah. And I mean, exercising the brain is a very real thing. If we
Yeah.
don't challenge the brain is going to travel, our thoughts are going to travel along the same pathways they've always done. It's going to be in autopilot mode because that's just how we work. And unless
The
we
road
build
of least resistance.
yeah, and that's exactly right.
Yeah.
But if we want to, if we want to go in a different road, if we want to start new pathways in our brain, new ways of thinking, we need to build that muscle just like we do at the gym. So that's a great example, Kath, to buddy
Yeah.
those up
Yeah.
together. And um,
And another thought I've just had around this, as we're sharing and thinking, what else could we do to help this
mm,
journey and to help shift gears out of the constant stress? Thinking back on this emotional contagion,
mm,
who in your world do you know that already seems to have
mm,
mastered this way of living that's not continually stressful?
yeah,
Um, and that might be few and far between. They might be hard to find. But just even notice what are they doing that's different, how they're being that's different, and hanging around them. And
yeah,
yes, maybe your stress might,
rub off a
flow
little.
over to them. But I mean, if they've practiced in this way of being calm, it's
Mm,
often surrounding yourself with others that are calm.
yeah,
If you go and put yourself in the middle of a whole lot of other people that are similarly, hyped and stressed, that's going to be tough.
yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. Agreed. And so what I'm hearing too, though, is that we have to be intentional. If we don't want
Yes.
this automatic way of just allowing the stress to just keep going, if we want to make changes, if we want to listen to what our body's saying and do it differently and go take note, we have to be intentional. So we
Yeah.
have to be intentional to pause when it happens, when we're feeling it. We have to be intentional around perhaps journaling about it, perhaps having those
Yeah.
conversations. And then, I mean, we can go further that as well. We can go, it's not long to the end of the year. So I'm in this space of going. It's only a few months. We've got a wedding coming up. We've got
You do.
people are going to be coming. Oh my word! Anyway, see, now I'm getting stressed. I'm thinking about all that's got to happen between now and November plus then Christmas. But there are things I can do.
Yeah.
There are habits that I can either stop doing. Like I was thinking about it before. How often at night I'm thinking, oh, I'm just, allowing my brain to relax by mindlessly scrolling. Mindlessly scrolling, there's actually no such thing. That's a really poor habit for, and I'm not going to get into the neuroscience around that, but it's not good for us. And so,
Yes.
okay, what habits am I doing that are draining me? Poor sleep. Maybe I'm going to bed too late. What are the some and how can I create habits? What can I do that's going to restore me? And so there's always things we can do. And I love that that's where you went to at the beginning of the conversation. Firstly, make a decision. Is there something I can do?
Yeah.
Do we
And
want to do something?
yeah, and it is that's the key. It's, do I want to do something?
Mm,
If you're thinking I should, I ought to, I have
yeah.
to, it's not going to work.
No.
It's like, what do I want? And if the desire is there, and it's like a truthful desire there to make
Mm,
a shift, to do something different,
mm,
not because you should or ought to have to, but because you really, really want
really
to,
want. Mm,
then that is, yeah, that's the starting
mm,
point.
yeah. What
Yeah.
do I really want? How do I
Yeah.
really want to show up? Hmm. Great questions, great conversations. And again, no right or wrong. It's what do I want?
Mm.
And I think that's a great question to ask. It's a big question to ask. We don't have to know all the answers right now. We can ponder it. But what do I really want?
Yeah, yeah. And I'm so
Mm,
glad you brought this to the conversation today because it's really timely for me. I know that
mm,
I don't want to. I know that I've been headed towards this path of I think
mm,
my stress dial has been slowly shifting up and up and up through
mm.
this year of Jubilee. It's
That
been
we started out at.
a stretch year of growth, my goodness me. And
Yeah.
so this has been so good. I mean, just the recognizing, yep,
Mm,
I'm doing a dialed up stress and I don't necessarily want to.
Mm,
And so thank you, Elle. You've
my
given me a lot of
pleasure.
food for thought.
Good.
And yeah, I'm actually feeling
Love
quite
that.
excited. Yeah.
Good. All right. Love it. Thanks for the chat. Thanks for letting me bring that to the table and can't wait to talk again soon, Kath.
See you next week, Elle.
Yeah, bless you, mate.